PLP was founded about 15 years ago. We were a spin-off of another company that we all worked in for quite a long time.
My name is Ron Bakker. I'm a founding partner of PLP Architecture.
My name is Lee Polisano. I'm the founder and president of PLP Architecture.
And this is the Architect Series. The studio was founded on a Friday afternoon when we had just gone through a long period of talking to our partners of the bigger firm that we all came from.
So when we set up PLP, we were 6 people on day one. 6 weeks in, we were 60 people.
So we started with quite a big bang, so to speak, in the architectural world. And we started with many projects and quite a lot to do.
So we needed office space, we needed accommodation, computers, desks, in order to be able to accommodate staff as they moved over from the old office to PLP.
It was a good time to start because things were quiet in London. It was just after the big recession in 2008. The world was trying to get back on its feet again, and when that happened, we grew as a company with that.
We don't just design buildings for our clients, and for me, this is the future of architecture. We help our clients with research into the future. We help our clients understand the implications of technology, climate change, changes in urban patterns. We help our clients position their projects, their brands, to reflect their values, and to reflect how they compete with others and how they become recognized. And as a result of that, our architecture generates something that's always unexpected.
I think as a group of people, we're adding aspects of the world to our architecture, and the product is richer and more intelligent, I think, than it has been in the past.
Everything we do has to be about engaging with the users of the building. We like to call it a life-centric approach. So everything we do starts with an idea about how we use space.
And it helps us create projects that are very specifically fit for a specific place and a specific client and a specific function. And that always makes for a unique project. For me, it's not so much what it was when we started 15 years ago, but what we became fairly quickly. I think it's quite stable.
I'm a very lucky person. I work with 150 very talented people every single day. And I get to enjoy that talent and that creativity. Our business has gone from being a more local European and domestic studio to an international and global studio at the moment.
We have 3 people work in our Singapore office. There's a guy who works for us in Japan as well. We have 1 person in Holland, and we have 1 person in Italy too. We are establishing entities in Saudi Arabia and Japan at the moment, so we see those as sort of growth areas for us.
So we are a very multicultural company.
We allow everybody to contribute and to grow, and that's a good business plan because you're sort of growing a bigger pool of really very good architects.
There are 35 nationalities working here. We speak 45 different languages, and we're working now in 14 different countries around the world. And in every one of those countries, we're able to offer our clients the unique benefit of a global research, but a local interpretation of that.
The AI lab in Shanghai, just outside of Shanghai, is a special project because as far as I know, it's the first project with this kind of brief. You know, it's a building for AI and for companies that work with AI.
One of the things that is important when you do research and development in AI is how you store the data and how you get the power for it. And of course, the further away from the source of your research that you store the data, the weaker your experiments can be, because the data takes energy and it loses its potency the further away it's stored. So we wanted to reduce the latency of that storage by bringing the two close together. So it's the first time that research, data storage, and power generation are combined within a single building.
The fact that there is an atrium within that space and then the labs look down on the atrium, it really sort of encourages that chance encounter. You know, one scientist talking to another about what they're working on, and then all of a sudden that sparks a new idea. And really, you know, that is something that we try and encourage with a lot of our buildings. You know, how can we use the architecture to bring people together and encourage a new debate, a new conversation to happen?
This building has allowed us to really investigate the art of the possible and has begun us looking at a whole new generation of buildings for the purpose of work and research, which we think will be the future of the way things will be done. We are in front of Bankside Yards on the Blackfriars Bridge, very, very close to the City of London. And this is the beginning of the realization of our master plan for this part of the South Bank of London. It will be the first time in 200 years that the west side of this end of the city and the east side are connected together through our site. 7 million people a year visit it, so we have an opportunity here at Bankside Yards to bring this great set of cultural venues together on our site. And we'll use all green energy, so we hope that means it will operate in the future at a net zero level. And what's very interesting about this place in London is that this part of London pushes out into the Thames. So if you look at the River Thames, you see that it makes a big sweeping curve right in the heart of London, and this is the point where it does that. So if you look to the west, you see the Houses of Parliament. If you look here, you see St. Paul's Cathedral. If you look in the distance, you'll see the City of London. You see it all together right here at this unique point.
Tokyo Cross Park is the largest development in Tokyo metropolitan area.
The project is about how we create hyper-dense environment, a reflection of Tokyo itself, and how we create a series of spaces within it that sustain collaboration and integration, and how we also bring the green that's surrounding the project up into the building and create a number of different places.
We wanted to create a space that brings people together. It's a very vast project, so we have the opportunity not to create one place, but to create a sequence of different spaces that allow people to make a choice.
We are acting as the master planners. We are also designing a number of the buildings. The buildings will be a new Imperial hotel, and there will be 5 other very, very important buildings as part of the project, and a new 2-hectare park, which will connect for the first time this part of Tokyo into the Ginza area.
One of the other things as well that we have been thinking when designing this space is how can we keep it active for 24 hours. So what we have tried to do as well is program a site that is active all day through, with the allowance of incorporating temporary uses, the allowance as well of evolving through time.
We use a number of innovative technologies to basically allow the project to operate at net zero.
How we could achieve that? Obviously by having a very forward-looking energy strategy, but it also has to do with incorporating materials that can neutralize carbon.
And that helps us reduce the demand for the generation of new energy. This is really a key moment in the development of PLP. We have relocated to a new studio, a wonderful studio that we're in today. It's a showcase for the work we've been doing for the past.
Imagine moving an office of 150 to 200 people. And then just to add the icing on the cake there, imagine moving an office of 150 to 200 people that are architects, right? So the masters of hoarding materials, models, drawings. So we knew that there was going to be a challenge.
When we had an opportunity to move into a new space, the idea of being environmentally responsible obviously was something very, very important to us. So we set out to make this project as circular in terms of waste and material as possible.
So circularity means opportunity, and by that, what we did is we set kind of core three-pronged approach, or a set of pillars that we wanted to adhere by when we designed the space. So those kind of three elements were maximizing reuse, minimizing waste, and optimizing design. So for any of the new designed elements that we wanted to bring into the space, we wanted to make sure that they would be able to be disassembled or used for future use cases.
75% of what you see here today has been reused in some form or another. And we either upcycled materials, recycled materials, donated materials, or found new and innovative ways to use the materials.
So I think one of the key examples in all of this is in maximizing our reuse. We wanted to redefine and challenge ourselves in what the meaning of waste is. We have years of materials that are, different types of stones and glass and so on. And so we were able to take all of our various different stone samples and crush them up and create our beautiful kind of worktops that we now have within our kitchen, which also serves as a central hub or a social space.
As a consequence, we've reduced our carbon footprint in the manufacturing of this. We use mostly natural materials that are new, so that, again, they could be returned into the circular economy in the future. And that ethos is the way we approach all of our projects as well.
The Edge in Amsterdam. The project came about, it was a competition between developers to choose a site and a building typology for Deloitte.
It was completely groundbreaking in its approach. And, through the use of technology, through the use of sustainability, through the use of, the orientation of the atrium and a very enlightened client, the incorporation of some of these ideas into this building, really made a lot of sense. And at the time, it was the realization of a debate that we were having internally as a practice. How can we get our architecture to be more responsive to what occupiers are looking for?
We focused on designing buildings that have a spatial model that basically brings people together. So the idea behind every one of our buildings that we did prior to the Edge was to create a spatial model that helped promote interconnectivity and interactivities between people.
So they challenged us to find a building typology that would allow their people to mix with people from other disciplines and cross-pollinate almost their ideas. So one way of doing it, that was by creating a big atrium in the middle of the building where people would at least see other departments and other people all the time, and also become used to the idea that there are more people than just those sitting in their immediate surroundings.
What they lacked was the combination of that spatial model with technology. And when we did the edge, it was like we used technology in combination with that spatial model, and it created a whole new set of opportunities for us as architects, but I think for anybody using buildings.
The building is covered with sensors. There are about 30,000 sensors or something in the building, measuring temperature and humidity and movement in the building. So the building has a fair amount of understanding of what energy is needed, so it can direct coolness or heat to the right place. It can also therefore respond to the different energetic conditions around the perimeter of the building. On the sunny side, you need more cooling. On the shady side, you need less, for instance. If the building is intelligently connected to the way people choose where to live in the building or where to work in the building, you can use that to start to influence people's behavior a little bit.
We are coming from the City of London, across the Blackfriars Bridge, approaching Arbor. The tall building that you see in front of us, Opus, is designed to act as a gateway into the southern end of London, into Southwark. It's going to be the tallest residential building in the central London area. It's luxury residential accommodation, about 300 apartments, and it'll be just about 180 meters tall. Our focus on every project we do is to take a step in some way or another to reduce the impact that buildings have on the environment, either through low carbon construction solutions or very, very low carbon solutions to operate buildings. And one of those projects is the National Meteorological Association's building in South Korea that we are designing.
We wanted to deliver the true net zero building, meaning beyond the carbon neutral building, we wanted to reduce first operational carbon and also embodied carbon by utilizing timber mass or recycled steel. Then offsetting it with renewable energy. So the final goal was to achieve the real net zero.
This will be the first net zero in operation government building in South Korea.
The passive strategy that we introduce in this building are not something new or expensive or new technology. All those solutions are somewhat what has been proved throughout the times all around the world.
So to get to net zero, we use every component of the weather, the sun, the rain, the wind, temperature, the earth. We use them in one way or another to reduce the amount of energy that's needed for the building.
So for instance, daylight is very important for the quality of the workspace. So we want to bring as much as we can. What we've done is we increase the floor to floor, and we also try to utilize the sun to generate the energy using the PV panels. For the wind, winds can cool down and sometimes can insulate the space. So during the summertime, we design to bring this cool air into the earth duct so that it can cool down, moderate the temperature of the so-called four-season garden.
Every single passive strategy takes advantage of a weather condition, and that's how we get to net zero.
Even though we are not providing, I guess we need to do a study about how people fit in here.
You're just on alternating sides, you're fading this.
Which means we could have a bigger space there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The interesting architectural expression I see is that there's a quite
And this is a
straightforward
special room that people use.
possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
The darkness things are working. That's the more central thing, which could be
Park Nova project is in Singapore. It is a ultra luxury residential building that sits in a very, very beautiful part of Singapore in the Orchard area, the Orchard Boulevard.
So Park Nova is interesting because it's a building that seems to effortlessly connect nature and orientation to the city. And in the way it has balconies that create shade underneath and that create green spaces for people inside the apartments makes a very natural residential environment. Plus the building looks very much like a piece of nature in the city rather than a stark building that is not connected to nature at all. It's a very biophilic building.
We wanted to use the green for a purpose, and that purpose was to promote health and well-being for the people that occupied the building. So we started to look at the positioning of how our plan organization would work, and each of the units for the people to live in is organized in a way to take advantage of a view, and it took the shape of a butterfly. The building is an exercise in how you combine sustainability, low energy building with super luxury. So every unit has its own garden, and each of those gardens are thematically based on senses. So as the plants change seasons or as they go from daytime to nighttime, they change their smell. They change the way they look, the flowers change. So it's a constantly changing environment that enables them to enjoy this space and an acknowledgement of how green space can contribute to the health and well-being of individuals. We are very interested in engineering in our buildings. So we use the engineering of Arbor to celebrate this location. So one of the things we did is we lifted the building off the ground to sort of create this first new public space. And this space creates the entrance through the railway arches from the west side of the site to the east side. And the building is actually sitting on top of the railway viaduct. And we thread some of the engineering structure through the railway viaduct to hold the building up in place. So that makes the first of the 8 new public spaces. It creates a nice forecourt for people to use, and the footprint of Arbor at the ground is very small. In London, every project has to be different and unique and stand on its own merits. So it has had a big influence on the way we approach our work in other parts of the world. Because as I mentioned, we like to think that if you come on a journey with us, you end up with something that's slightly unexpected. The facade of this building uses a very, very innovative and new set of technologies. It's low E glass, but it's a very, very, very modern version of a low iron glass. So we use very, very pure glass, and we use it in a cavity type construction. So there are 2 layers of glass here that are under pressurized, so that they form a barrier between the inside temperature and the outside temperature. So again, this idea of using technology to promote comfort, but also daylight is very, very good for productivity. It's very good for health and well-being. And we try and create that narrative. And frankly, in all of our buildings, you see this kind of innovation.
I'm a bit worried about the future of architecture and the rich debate that we should have in the studio and with our clients and with the cities that we work in about the quality of the architecture. It made me ask the question, how is that going to survive between AI and sustainability, or AI and ecology, when these two aspects are changing our society so much? What's the influence going to be on architecture?
We know that it's a rapidly changing world at the moment. One of the things that we try and do is encourage all of our teams to explore, to use their minds, to read about things, to understand things, and then bring that to the workplace. We take sustainability very seriously. I think you can see that in the way we've approached our office space, and we try and sort of bring the knowledge that we've gained in our own experience into all of the projects that we're working on too.
I don't think you can approach what we do with a large set of preconceived expectations. I think we set our goals based on what our ambitions are and how we think about the world. If what we do helps make people feel better, or if it makes a brand more successful, or it makes a nicer place to live, or it makes that moment of surprise and delight and enjoyment when someone turns a corner and sees it, then we fulfilled our dreams for the moment. Every day can create a new dream for us. I think that's the luxury of being in a profession like ours. So what's nice about that is you're constantly challenged to deliver on that new dream.